So in our last two sets of notes, we looked at succession as well as biodiversity. Today we're going to look at ecosystem services, which are the benefits that humans receive from ecosystems. And we're going to look at this from a strictly human-centric approach. And one of the useful reasons why we do this is to help us quantify or measure the benefits of ecosystem services in order to give them economic value. Because oftentimes in our society, things are not valued until you can assign a dollar amount to how much they're worth. So the first type of ecosystem service we're going to look at are supporting services. And these make life possible. Some examples are nutrient cycling, because on Spaceship Earth we don't have many new things coming in, so everything has to be cycled. Also net primary productivity, which provides the budget of calories and nutrients for an area based on the amount of productivity generated by plants. And then pollination. And within American agriculture, the pollinating service offered by the ecosystem is valued at multi-billion dollars. Because if it were to go away and we had to do it artificially, it would cost us billions of dollars. And oftentimes we don't miss things until they're gone. The second type of service we're going to look at are provisioning services. And these are products directly obtained from the ecosystem. So these are generally things that you can hold in your hand. And these include things like firewood, food, medicine. You'll notice I have some examples over here. These are aspirin tablets next to willow. And willow bark contains in it a compound similar to aspirin that's been used for thousands of years. And then I also have penicillin over here, which is made by a fungus. And so most of our medicines that we use come from nature in some way. They're either similar or the same as compounds made in different plants or fungus or other living things. And our chemists generally try to either synthesize a synthetic version or extract it directly from the organism. And what we find is that some of the best chemists in the world are not humans. They are other living organisms creating these substances that we are just copying. And so aside from medicine, we also have building materials. And we also have genetic diversity. And while this isn't something that you can necessarily hold in your hand, it's something that we can use. For example, in South America, where tomatoes were domesticated, there's still a wild tomato growing, and people have been able to crossbreed the domestic varieties of tomato with the wild variety to create more robust, hardy, and productive plants. And so we've harvested and used that genetic diversity that's been building up there for a long time, and used it for our own benefit. And so another type of service provided by the ecosystems are regulating services. And regulating services are obtained from ecosystem processes. And some examples of this are climate regulation, where oftentimes plants are actually regulating the humidity and temperature and climate of an area. What we find is that sometimes when forests are cleared and the soil is exposed, then the humidity goes down, the temperature goes up, and where we had a forest begins to look like a desert. And not only that, but the trees themselves have been shown to be able to help seed clouds, not just through transpiration, but also through releasing particulate matter into the atmosphere in order to create a germ for these clouds to nucleate. Another example is waste treatment. We saw in the example video that in New York City they saved billions of dollars. Instead of installing a wastewater treatment plant, they just protected the wetlands habitat in the area, and that acted as a filter for the water table. Another great ecosystem service, regulating service, is a buffer zone. For erosion and wind. And so I have this picture over here of these mangroves, and these mangroves here, they grow in the brackish water where the fresh water from the land begins to flow into the salt water in the ocean. And so they're kind of a mixture of this fresh and salty water. And they serve lots of different ecosystem roles. One of the things that they do is they prevent erosion of the shoreline from the wave action that's happening. They also act as a windbreak to buffer from coastal storms. They also provide a habitat for all kinds of organisms that can be harvested in provisioning services, like different types of fish, and as well as invertebrates. They also catch nutrient runoff from the land and pollution runoff from the land so that it doesn't reach the ocean ecosystem. They provide all kinds of services. And then so the last type of ecosystem service that we're going to look at are cultural services. And these are things like recreation. I have an example of the guy on the surfboard here, and he wants to be able to surf without getting hit in the face by plastic straws or have oil slicks in the water he's trying to surf on. We like to have a clean environment so that we can have fun in it. Also inspiration and education. And so oftentimes we can look to nature for inspiration as well as education and models. There is a field of study called biomimicry, where people look at the mechanisms and the different technologies that have come about from evolution in the natural world, and we try to copy those technologies in order to make more man-made innovations to improve our technology. And so ecosystems provide all of these services for us, and they don't charge anything. And so that's why it's important for us to think of these ecosystem services and begin to assign some kind of economic value to them so that we can help to preserve them